Hello, and welcome to Fraud Examination. I'm Dr. Warwick, and I'm glad that you've chosen to take this course. It's one of my favorites. I like teaching the subject. It comes from an interest that I developed many years ago. During the course, I think you're going to find a lot of information about how to prevent fraud, which is good for you and for the business that you will go to work for. Along the way, you may think, wow, Dr. Warwick, you're teaching me how to commit fraud. And in some ways, that's true. What we've studied and learned is that the best way to prevent fraud is to understand how it happened. And then as we understand how it's happened, we can develop ways to prevent it and deter it. So those are two things that you'll actually learn a lot about during the semester. In the prevention areas, we want to deter it. And if we can't deter it, then we're going to want to detect it. So with that, I hope you find that I've set the course up in an easy fashion for you to understand. Two sections that you're going to need to go to will be the information section and the discussion section. Information will contain all the information from homework to videos and quizzes, things that I want you to look at. The discussion section will give you a way to communicate with me if you have questions or comments about the course. And I do hope that you use the discussion section, the discussion board area, to allow you to show your questions to your peers and give them an opportunity to answer some of your questions. So I want you all to have some discussion back and forth, as well as allow me the opportunity to answer any questions that you may have. So to get started, I want to tell you a little bit about what you'll find in the information section. You're going to find a getting started. It's just a little note from me. Kind of describes how the course is laid out. So I hope you will read that information there. You'll also find your course syllabus, some information about me, and a few other things. Particularly, you'll see some information about ooVoo, which is what I'm using right now to record this message. I do hope you choose to get you a webcam, get set up on ooVoo. That will help us, as well as there's a possibility we can use something in Blackboard called Blackboard Collaborate, and we'll be working with either ooVoo or Blackboard Collaborate during the session. As you get through the getting started area, you'll also notice that there's a part 1, part 2, part 3, and a Maxwell case folder that you'll see in that introduction section. This is how the course will be laid out. I want you to start in part 1, then move to part 2 and part 3. As we get finished with that and the Maxwell case, that will wrap up your requirements for the semester. With that, I want to make sure you know throughout different parts I have you look up some journal articles. Make sure that you look up your journal articles through the library webpage. Once you go to the library website, you can get into Business Source Complete, which is found under their databases by name section. So be sure and take advantage of looking up your articles through our database here on the library. You'll take two tests during the semester. I'll tell you about those. You actually find that you'll start taking your tests in part 2 and part 3 in those two folders. Those tests, for you to be allowed to take those, you have to have a proctored testing location. Here it is. If you're taking the class and you're around the Magnolia area, I suggest that you contact the testing and counseling center here on campus and schedule those tests. If you're further out from Magnolia, you're going to be responsible for finding that testing location, and I talk about some different areas you may use to find that testing location in the getting started notes. So hope that gives you a good introduction to the course. Again, I hope it goes well for you. Keep in touch with me and enjoy fraud examination and learning how to prevent, kind of detect, deter fraud from happening in an organization.